Today, we're going to read a little story about an arsonist, a homeless camp, and the auto shop caught in between. Small business owner says that they can't get the city to do anything about the fires from the tent encampment next door. I don't want to be a vigilante. Let's get into it. Here we go. Let's see what the story is all about. Where are we talking about? We're talking about San Francisco. Talking about just south of Market Street, right in the heart of San Francisco, kind of a little bit south and west of the Tenderloin, but basically right in that area. So you can just imagine the things going on, right? At 12:23 p.m. on November 16th, a man is seen on surveillance video wearing a white shawl on his head and a brown coat. Cars whiz by as he stands on the I-80 on-ramp off South Van Ness, major arterial, uphill from a homeless encampment. He lights what looks like a cigarette, takes a couple of drags, crouches, and then hurls a burning piece of cloth about 10 feet. Not a huge effort, but that's all it took. It lands on top of a tent. Within minutes, the entire encampment is consumed by flames. A woman and a man jump out of a nearby tent and flee uphill. Get out of there, a woman yells repeatedly. Boom! A large explosion, likely from a propane tank, sends burning bits of eucalyptus tree flying everywhere. They're everywhere. For DJ Misner, manager in an auto repair shop that borders the encampment, a fire mere feet from his business is just another day on the job. This is normal. This is the insanity that comes in proximity to a homeless encampment. Now, a lot of folks are going to want to say, they're just down on their luck. They just missed one rent payment. Nah, these people that are long-timers in homeless encampments, they want to be there. They want to be able to do this stuff. This is their lifestyle. Look at this. He's looking back at us and he's got just this burned out shell of a car. They're not going to fix that one. Look at that steering wheel. Just absolutely charred. But the November blaze was the last straw for Meisner and his boss, Andrew Giescheit, who has owned Popular Mechanics, Volkswagen repair shop, for 35 years and is out $30,000 for fire-related repairs in 2024 alone. How was your year? If we didn't have that homeless encampment, would have been a lot better. They say they have clear video evidence of a man starting the November fire, but partly because of the shop's unique location on 14th Street, no agency has consistently taken responsibility for the issue. So what does that mean? That just means that you've got, it's on a major arterial, so county land, maybe freeway owned by the feds, city owned, private owned. Nobody wants to take responsibility for that area. So the November fire, here we go. San Francisco firefighters extinguished large encampment fire south of Market. Look at that. I mean, this is an on-ramp or an on-ramp, off-ramp type deal. I mean, just absolute craziness that this goes on. But we've seen it in Seattle. Happens all the time. Just a bunch of lunatics running around, starting fires. It feels like the Wild West, said Meisner about the city. I try to not give it the doom spiral narrative, but they are doing nothing to dissuade me of that notion. Build it and they will come. And that's what cities like San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, LA, that's what's happened. You have built the infrastructure for the homeless industrial complex, and guess what? It ain't going away because these are people. All right. Let's watch this video. Yeah, let's just watch this video for a second. It'll come back around. This is something else. All right, here's our guy. Yeah. All right, there we go. Big toss right on a tent. Should be fine. I mean, it needed a little bit of a cleanup anyway. Just a little bit of fire. Just fire, pretty normal thing. Got a wood fence back there. I'm sure it'll be good. This is normal. This is absolutely normal for the homeless. You'll be driving along in Seattle, and you'll see tent, and then you'll literally have. I'm gonna scroll past that. You'll literally have the fiberglass poles, like 2 fiberglass poles, and just charcoal. Fiberglass poles didn't melt. Everything else did. And that's how you know, oh, had a fire. That's excellent. The encampment that borders Popular Mechanics Fence is located on property owned by the state's Caltrans agency. So it's state-owned, which Meisner said led to confusion and long response times from local and law enforcement and cleanup crews. Adding to the frustration, records show the man from the surveillance video has been on a year-long merry-go-round in the justice system, cycling between charges, jail time, being released, and being charged again. Some past charge involve arson. So standard. You got a whacked out nut job on drugs who belongs in a mental institution or belongs in prison. Take your pick. One of those 3 entities. That's where this guy needs to go. And with the way that, laws have gone, well, we're not really incarcerating anybody that's crazy. So therefore, just let them run around, let them light fires, let them set fires. Meanwhile, you got cars whizzing by. A month after the November blaze, Meisner said the 29-year-old man who court documents identify as Laureano Perez threw urine and rocks at an employee, a customer, in the shop's cars. He was arrested, and Meisner thought the business would finally escape his wrath. We're good. We're done with him. He's out of here. However, Meisner was stunned to see Perez walking around the neighborhood days later. You're in San Francisco, and you're surprised that police let out an absolute nut job capable of great destruction with arson? No, that's an everyday occurrence. That's just a day that ends in Y in San Francisco, right? Or Seattle, or LA, or Portland. He reached out to law enforcement with photo evidence of Perez hanging around his business, and he's been met with silence. They got bigger fish to fry, right? Some nut job that's just causing a little bit of arson. Unless it kills somebody, we're probably not going to investigate. Yeah, your shop burned down. That sucks. Anybody die? No? Okay. All right. Next. As recently as March 10th, Meisner alerted his California Highway Patrol officer contact, Osvaldo Orozco, that Perez was at Popular Mechanics Fence Line. He's right there. I can see him. According to text messages reviewed by the Standard, Meisner received no response because they're not doing anything. This isn't a big deal. The incident appears to be a violation of a December 30th criminal and protective order imposed on Perez, which prohibits him from being within 10 yards of the business, not 10 years, according to a copy of the record reviewed by the Standard. Look at this just nonsense. I mean, you got a bunch of crap. You got tents. You got garbage. I mean, the Standard, right? This is just so typical. And when I say that it's not a big deal, what I mean is that you allow low-life criminal addicts to run around and just do their thing. And that's what creates lack of public safety in these communities. And people don't want to live there. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. So Perez run-ins with the law have been frequent over the years. Since 2019, the San Francisco District Attorney's Office has charged him in 8 cases, including 2 instances of arson in 2020, which he pled guilty to 1 count of felony vandalism and was sentenced to 190 days in jail. Lock this guy up. Give him 10 years. Just get him off the streets before he kills somebody. Last year, Perez was charged with multiple vandalism and drug cases. See? Hey, you got a criminal, nut job, drugs. Perfect combo. Records show he did not attend his latest hearing on March 12th, resulting in an outstanding misdemeanor warrant for his arrest. What? You made him promise he'd come back to court and he didn't? I am shocked. I have great concern. Public defender Charlotte Miller, who is representing Perez on his current cases, says that there should be a more robust social safety net to support vulnerable people in our community, like Mr. Perez, so that they don't end up in the criminal legal system. Sounds like to me that's where he belongs. Now, you're saying that he is a vulnerable person in our community? What's vulnerable about him? That he likes to light things on fire? Is that the vulnerable part? Is it the drugs? Is that what makes him more vulnerable? Is it the fact that he's homeless on drugs and he is a convicted felon? Is Does that make him? No, that makes him a criminal, a drug addict, and he needs to be locked up somewhere, somehow, so that he doesn't burn somebody's shop down, doesn't burn somebody's house down, doesn't kill somebody. The November fire caught on camera wasn't the first time an inferno erupted near Popular Mechanics. In 2022, Meisner said he was putting out blazes weekly and even installed a ladder he bought from a hunting website to get a better vantage point from the fence line. He placed extinguisher devices on the fence, but they have proved useless and have been swallowed up in fires. In October, early morning fire broke out in Popular Mechanics' backyard, growing into a large blaze that destroyed 2 of the shop's cars and scarred surrounding trees. One of the cars exploded because it was full of gasoline. Let's see. Fire, gasoline, contained in a gas tank. Yeah, that's what goes on. Surveillance footage does not show a culprit, though a lit object is seen being thrown over the fence. It's our boy. He's lighting stuff on fire. Remains of the cars can be found on the property, and melted chunks of metal are lodged in the ground. Can you imagine? And a lot of businesses deal with this on the regular. And you know what leadership does? Got a lot of problems. Big city problems. We got homeless people everywhere. This one nut job? We'll get to them when we can. The fires are accompanied by a constant stream of trash, crack pipes, and needles, Meisner said, which covers the perimeter of the blue fence that borders the shop. In response to his pleas for help, Meisner said he has faced an endless cycle of buck passing. Oh yeah. Because Caltrans oversees the land, Meisner requested that the agency clean up the encampment, but he had to wait around a month for crews to respond, he said. Caltrans did not respond to a request for comment. They are too busy putting out fires on land where homeless nut jobs do their thing with lighters and just, it's going to be greatest ever. Here's that, get my little yellow guy here. Here's that piece of melted steel because things got so hot that pieces of metal were, formed objects like this. Here's one of those fire extinguisher devices that also got burned along the way, making it inoperable. But, you got to try, right? Meisner isn't the only one to face the abyss of California's bureaucratic black holes. In January, San Francisco Chronicle highlighted illegally dumped vehicles left to rust along train tracks owned by 3 entities, Caltrans, Union Pacific, and Alameda County. All right, let's take a look at that. Why do people keep dumping cars in this part of Oakland? Why can't the city clean it up? Look at that. Just take a gander at that. I mean, they're 3 wide. Just off the side of some railroad tracks. Let's just tow them down here, dump them, and are these all stolen vehicles? Probably, right? It's just absolutely incredible that things are left this way. But in Oakland, things have just gotten wildly out of hand, and you don't have leadership that can step up and take it, as the current mayor has proven. She's involved in all kinds of shenanigans, and you got district attorneys there that just keep this never-ending cycle of let the homeless do what they want. It's all good. It's all going to be great. And then you end up with just shenanigans like this nonsense, and you can't get out ahead of that. You can't fix that. And so we got the Wall Street Journal reported that the same month about a mishmash of government agencies failing to work with one another to clear flammable brush in Los Angeles. We have the same thing happen here in Seattle. We've got these encampments that end up underneath major bridges. They end up underneath, federal land where you've got an interstate highway, and you've got all these entities that don't do anything because it's all this finger pointing. Well, it's your job. It's your job, Mr. State. You come in and fix it. Not city. That's city-owned land. Yeah, but we're not equipped. So we need the feds to come in. And you've got this who's on first situation that never gets resolved. In the case of the November fire, Meisner provided a copy of the video to California Highway Patrol and San Francisco Police Department. He remains puzzled as to why the video did not result in Perez being kept off the streets. because that's not what we're doing in big blue liberal cities. You get not 9 lives, you get as many lives as you need. Go out there and live your best one. It's all going to be great. I mean, when you've got a situation like we had here in Seattle with Steve Irwin, the guy who stole an excavator, started excavating a city park, and he's been arrested and come back to the park like 5 different times at one point in time. And I've documented all this. I've interviewed him. He was literally mining in this same park for gold and diamonds, I believe. And he showed me the results of his literal open pit mining operation in a city park called Dr. Jose Rizal Park, very near to one of the most dangerous intersections in all of Seattle in the International District. South Jackson and 12th Avenue South is just south of that area. But this guy was just in and out of the park where he would build a fort, literally out of wood that he cut down from the park. Can you imagine if you and I, just normal citizens, rolled into a park with a chainsaw, started whacking stuff down? I'm homeless. Let me be. That's literally what you've got going on here, right? Encampment fires have snarled major infrastructure in California before. Remember this one? 10 freeway shut down going right into downtown LA. Here's your downtown LA. Here's that encampment right under here. No, this was a storage facility for pallets, I think it was, something along that line. But there's homeless all throughout this area. And they lit some pallets on fire, and it caused the 10, as they call it, to be shut down. And it was going to be shut down for weeks and months, but then they realized that the damage wasn't as bad as they thought. And then Newsom thought he was a hero because, look, it's open. California Highway Patrol representatives said that after reviewing the video evidence submitted by Meisner, the agency completed an affidavit for an arrest warrant for Perez that was submitted to the district's attorney office in January. The Standard has learned the district attorney this week decided to file arson charges against Perez for the November incident. District's attorney office declined to comment. Nah, we got other stuff we got going on here. Talking to you. Yeah, we're not doing it. January, after weeks of silence from law enforcement, Meisner and his colleagues grew exasperated. They contacted the district attorney's office, but got no response. District attorney confirmed to the Standard that its office did not reply to Meisner, but said it had followed up with the business this week. Maybe, right? But businesses, bottom line, businesses in big blue Democrat-run cities, there's nobody supporting them. You're out on your own, and everybody knows it because it's a free-for-all. It's an absolute free-for-all because the mindset is we're not really incarcerating anybody. We're not involuntarily putting people into treatment for drugs, whatever their addiction might be. We're not putting people into mental institutions because we emptied them all out because that's just what we did decades ago. We've been doing it ever since, and we don't have the broadband power to basically house these individuals, and we choose not to. The whole justice reform, empty out the prisons. It's going to be great. This is second chance for everybody. Well, now you got a bunch of Looney Tunes running around doing this kind of stuff, and you don't have a legal system that wants to hold anybody accountable. So this is a perfect storm for folks who like Perez that just want to just willy-nilly run around and do their thing, right? Meisner emailed District 9 Supervisor Jackie Fielder and an aide responding to his 24th on January correspondence, suggesting he contact the mayor's office. Let's escalate it up to the mayor. File a police report and endorsed his outreach to the district attorney. By then, he had already filed a police report, and Meisner said he later sent a message to the mayor, but received no reply. None of this is shocking. This is standard operating procedure. In a statement, Fielder's chief of staff, Sasha Gaona, wrote, "It's a basic right for everyone to feel safe in our neighborhoods." Yeah, but you got a term called bipping. You've literally got a specific term for breaking into people's cars through their windows, and it's called bipping. break-in in progress. So feel safe in the neighborhoods? I mean, ish, right? And we were disturbed to learn about this ongoing issue. No, you're not. You don't care. Like Mr. Meisner, we are also perplexed by this situation and the lack of response. What is perplexing about it? You got a nut job on drugs who's a pyromaniac living in a homeless encampment, lighting stuff on fire. Exactly which portion of that is perplexing? I don't understand how he got here. What's going on? The mayor's office did not respond to a request for comment because you can't really say anything. Hey, we'll be right out there. We'll get right out there. No, you won't. You got bigger fish to fry. That's bottom line. Standing in the backyard of his shop, Geishut said that he is at his wits' end. I feel like I don't want to become a vigilante, but the universe is saying you have to do it yourself, he said. I'm not going to go out and hit him with a wrench, but we're trying to be more proactive. Bureaucracy is not helping us. And that's how the story ends. I mean, seriously, that's how the story ends, is with this guy just basically left with nothing. Absolutely nothing. He got nothing. And that's why businesses move away. I mean, this guy stuck it out for how long? 30-something years? Probably once was a decent neighborhood, and it wasn't as bad as it is now. But we've all seen, in the Tenderloin, how that goes. And this is just outside of there. And you've got a situation where city officials don't have the ability to take care of businesses, nor do they seem to care. They're just like, whatever. And that's how you've got dozens and dozens, hundreds and hundreds of businesses that have left San Francisco because of stuff like this. Businesses can't afford to have their, repair shop burned up by some lunatic who is a known convicted felon with videotape of his actions burning stuff up. But he's still allowed to run around there. That is what the big blue Democrat-run cities are famous for, or infamous, I should say, right? They're infamous for not doing enough to protect their citizens, and then they wonder, or the businesses of said citizens, and then they wonder, why are all the businesses leaving? I don't understand. We have such a strong infrastructure here. It's wild, right? I see these stories happen all the time in Seattle. You're like, oh, there's another good story. All right, that's good. All right, so he's a triple convicted felon. Yep, okay, He had a gun which was illegally obtained. Oh, the gun was stolen. Oh, yeah, and he shot another gangbanger. Huh, interesting. No, it's not unusual. It's par for the course. And homeless people lighting stuff on fire that have a criminal background, 100% all day long. Build it, and they will come. That's what's happened in San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, Vancouver, BC. Build the infrastructure for the Looney Tunes, and they're going to be there. They're people. You can't just sweep them under the rug. It's a no-go. So these cities are stuck with this stuff until they take a hard stance and actually involuntarily put people, whether it's in jail, detox, rehab, or a mental facility somewhere. That's what you have to do. And you are starting to see some of these cities do this number. Maybe, just maybe, we should talk about, good Lord, I hate to say it, involuntarily committing some of these people. Good Lord, am I saying that out loud? They're literally starting to whisper at that because that's the obvious solution. But the misguided compassion has got them here already to this stage. And they're like, what do we do? We're so overwhelmed. You got to do something. Otherwise, you just continue to lose businesses like this poor automobile repair shop who's, going to take a hammer to somebody and probably get charged himself. And he will show up for court and he will get convicted and he will do time because he's not a lunatic out on the streets just running around slinging drugs and lighting stuff on fire. He's a responsible citizen and he's the guy that ends up in jail. Make that make sense. Wild stuff, right? This is nothing new. This is pretty normal. This is what it's like living in a big blue city. Podcast for days. Thanks so much for being here. Catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.